Good afternoon, I'm Malcolm Jordan and this is your Midday News Fix for Friday the 10th of April. Cyclone Vanu is set to race across the North Island this weekend with Met Service warning of up to 48 hours of wild weather. Forecasters are expecting potentially life-threatening winds and flooding. A red strong wind warning kicks in early Sunday for Coromandel and Great Barrier Island, and orange strong wind and rain warnings cover most of the north. Met Service's Heather Keats says they now have a much clearer idea of the cyclone's path.
It's expected to cross over sort of the top of the Coromandel Peninsula, move over Bay of Plenty, come across Hawke's Bay and then flick out to the east.
A former advisor to the US president says Donald Trump made a mistake by failing to consult NATO on the war in Iran. American officials will travel to Pakistan in less than 48 hours to meet with the Iranians for further negotiations on how to end the conflict. Trump's former national security advisor John Bolton told Mike Hosking the president should have consulted with his allies before the operation. But it's Europe's war too. He says Europe has suffered more terrorist attacks, which can be traced back to Iran, than the United States and Canada.
They're closer to Iran than we are. So Iran's intermediate range ballistic missiles can range almost all of Europe. They can hit the United States.
Rising fuel prices are compounding start-of-year costs for households already under strain. A BNZ survey finds nearly half feel more financial strain at this time than any other, and 44% say costs are harder to manage than last year. Back-to-school costs are a key pinch point. Personal and business banking executive Anna Flower says there's no data yet on the Middle East crisis, but customers are already feeling the impact.
If you look at those survey results and say that 47% of them are already feeling financial pressure, then you have to imagine that rising fuel costs are not going to make it any easier for anyone.
The Associate Education Minister says rapidly growing student numbers at charter schools proves that families want choice. New figures show more than 1,400 students were enrolled in 16 schools as of last month. The first 7 schools established have seen their rolls jump more than 300%, from 215 to 650. David Seymour told Mike Hosking attendance is becoming much better than state schools.
There's some wonderful stories where they've really turned their lives around in just the last year and become regular attenders because they've seen something different.
A Wellington football club is desperately seeking coaches just weeks out from the start of the season. Western Suburbs has put out an urgent plea for 40 people to help across grades from under 4s to under 15s. This comes as the Amateur Sports Association reports that volunteer numbers across the country have been sharply declining since the pandemic. Club President Dean Eager says the club's not sustainable without volunteers.
People pay their money and they have expectations, which we certainly understand, but the reality is the club just doesn't have the resources to send a coach out for every team that we have.
To sport, Sam Burns and defending champion Rory McIlroy lead golf's Masters at Augusta. After the opening round, their 5-under par 67s have earned a 2-stroke buffer. Chris Wood has safely returned to top-level football after almost 6 months out with a knee injury. The all-white skipper played the first half of Nottingham Forest's 1-1 Europa League quarter-final first leg draw away at Porto. I'm Malcolm Jordan. That's your latest news fix. We'll be back with the next update at 5 p.m. from the Newstalk ZB newsroom.